Christmas. Salutations, nerds. I'm Rick Y, the wise guy, and today is December 8th, 2024, and although it is Sunday, there's just too much going on, and as a nerd and junkie over news, I couldn't help but share it with y'all. So if you dig what I've got to share, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and that little notification dinger. Also, I don't know what I did, but I saw the explosion in subscriptions over the night, and I gotta say, thank you tremendously from the bottom of my heart for your viewership. I really do appreciate it. I'm still new to this whole thing, so kind of be patient with my old ass. I'll do everything I can to provide short news updates, Americana, and current events that I just find interesting without entirely making a complete ass out of myself. Maybe like a quarter of an ass. But I promise you, no more than 1/3 of an ass of myself. So thank you for advance for sticking in there with me. I'm gonna make mistakes, but I will own up to them and grow from them as best as I can. I'm only human. There is an end to this dark tunnel ahead, okay? And it is gonna be a bumpy ride, but we're gonna get through this together. I promise. A couple of fascinating situations have occurred this weekend that I've been honestly glued to geopolitically. One of those being the fall of the Syrian government. Last night, Bashar al-Assad fled the country, utterly abandoning his responsibilities and abdicating his 24-year-long authoritarian rule. The prime minister was seen not long ago being escorted to a hotel where he will turn the active government of Syria over to the rebels who have officially taken Damascus. This is possibly not great. As I mentioned before, that there's a large variety of rebel groups who can be given credit for the fall of Bashar al-Assad, but the one big one right now is what's called the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, and we are not buddies. Let's just say that. They are in what I would colloquially call the United States' burn book. HTS is so not fetch. All joking aside, this is actually a huge development, and we're going to need to be monitoring it closely. The risk of the Assad regime falling into the hands of people who are not wonderful people are exponentially higher today than they were last week. This is one of those situations that at the moment, I got nothing. They could end up forming some sort of agreement with the other rebel forces in the area and create some kind of democratic coalition interim government. They could do what happened with the fall of the Soviet Union and break Syria up into a bunch of different smaller areas. But I would guess, given my experience with these groups, I can't say anything for certain. We will have to keep our eyes fixed on the Middle East, at least for the time. Kind of see how this one plays out. Also, if you're hanging in there with me for the South Korean president's epic failure of a coup wherein his legislators just kind of pushed back past his special forces and military members and voted his ass down and forced him to publicly apologize for his attempted martial law. Yay, democracy! There have been some updates that I thought were interesting. It appears as though the legislative body chose to impeach him this past Friday and then voted on it Saturday. Somehow, the man who tried to attempt a coup with already abysmal approval ratings survived his own impeachment. If I wasn't clear about this before, I will make it a little bit more this way. Politics in South Korea right now are a little dicey. Protests are going on everywhere demanding that he gets trounced. Members of different factions are just further entrenching themselves. A recent survey showed that most of South Koreans approve of the impeachment. Regardless of the fact that he did earn harsh criticism from his own conservative people power party, they were able to rally behind him and save him yesterday. That doesn't mean by any stretch that the attempt won't be made again, and indeed it seems like they will be doing it again here in the future. The floor leader basically said as much, hinting that next Wednesday would probably be the target date for that vote, which means although he failed a catastrophic consolidation of power and even enlisted the help of the military to try and dismantle democracy entirely for his own benefit, he wasn't yet seen as corrupt enough by his own party members. Boy, it's starting to look like we're looking in a mirror here, huh? Yoon still technically has 2.5 years left in office, but there are folks who seriously doubt that he's going to make it that long. The sentiment is that if public outrage is high enough, some opposition leaders will join in the group who leads the effort to oust the president. And like in our system, it requires a 2/3 majority vote in the legislative body. They scrapped the measure without actually even counting the ballots, as it was pretty evident that they didn't have the required 200 votes to pass. Only 3 members of Yoon's party even voted. The process from there on out does kind of differ from here. He will still have a chance to bypass removal from office, even if he does lose an impeachment vote, because while we still have a Supreme Court that handles all matters of law and constitutional matters and everything else, the South Korean system of government states that after the impeachment vote, it would have to go to what is called a constitutional court to verify the legal veracity of the attempts. It's a different way to maintain an equal but coexisting government power than what we have, but it still provides the president a fashion of due process beyond the legislative measures. But his powers as president still will be suspended until the verdict from that court is reached, which means he's stripped of anything that he can do. Assuming then that he's agreed to be removed from his position of power by both of the systems in place that kind of have the management of that, South Korea will have 2 months respectively to choose a new president. So I think it is super prescient for us to recognize and take notice of the current chaos that's going down when a leader with historically low approval ratings tries to unilaterally take possession and consolidate power behind the executive authority. Beyond the interpretation of this behavior by foreign nations for a moment, what do you think would have happened if those deployed troops went through with and followed the orders of their commander-in-chief at the time and actually fired upon the legislators who were trying to enter their parliament building? Could you imagine how it would look if the bastion of democracy in Asia fell to a knucklehead who thought he could take power and then try and turn his troops on his own people in order to maintain that power? I mean, he tried to have members of the opposition party arrested. Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy, right? Good thing we don't have to worry about such things around here, though. The reality is the power of the masses is what turned this around. The truth of this is that those who represented the people were willing to fight back, and the citizens were willing to stand up and take to the streets, take action when some dingleberry tried to bend the rules in his favor. So like them, the only real expectation you should have of yourself and those around you are the 3 phrases every American citizen should take to heart. And that's what I try and say every day in my closing. Stay informed, stay engaged, and stay decent. Until next time, thanks again, Internet fam. Deuces.